Welcome to the RAMcast, where we talk about all things related to Sioux Valley. This is your host, Brian Kirby, and co-host Jimmy Sickler.
Happy to be here, Mr. Kirby.
All right, this year we are doing yet another special, and this is our teacher edition questions. And this time we have Mr. Corey Odell.
All right, thanks. Glad to be here.
All right, and without further ado, let's get the show rolling. All right, hello, Mr. Odell. Why don't you start off by telling us the name of your high school, the town, state it was in, and what the mascot was?
Okay, I went to two high schools. My first high school was Susitna Valley High School. I was a Ram. Go
Yeah.
Rams. And then I moved and I went to WF West High School in Chehalis, Washington, and we were the Bearcats.
All right.
All right, Bearcats. Nice. What song, band, TV show, movie, or hobby have you been listening to or watching for fun?
I've really got into Chris Stapleton lately. Gone back and really delved into some of the old stuff he's done and followed
Yes.
that path. So I've been enjoying that. Just found this new show called The Lioness, which is a special ops show. I'm enjoying that. It's a fun show to watch. And then for hobbies, I'm just getting out on the trails and doing some hiking, getting ready to start doing some cross-country skiing.
With a local dump, that's going to happen pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
So,
Yep, I'm familiar with the Lioness show. Very good show.
all
It
right,
is.
I got to write that down. So I got to see that one.
Yeah,
apparently.
you gotta check that out.
All right, cool. Hey, when you're in school, which teacher had the most impact on you, and what do you remember about them?
You know, I thought a lot about that, and I had to go back to actually a college teacher that I had. His name was Dan Boylan, and he was a professor at the University of Hawaii. And I took a lot of classes from him, but I took a Polynesian warfare class from him that I just absolutely loved. And he taught history. I'm a history major. He taught history like it was a story. And so every
Oh.
time you went into class, you were hearing history experience rather than being lectured to or being told to write something. And it just really gave a lot of impact to that experience. And then he was very close with his students. And so you had that opportunity to be in his office and kind of spitball ideas and thoughts. And that made it very personal. And that really helped me in how I approach my teaching.
I like the idea of a story. That's pretty good. But it probably keeps more people's interest.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, well, I got to start implementing that in my coding classes. All right.
Yeah, that'd be a good story. 01110.
yep.
Okay, what was your favorite extracurricular activity?
I played sports all through high school. At my high school, our football coach required us to play 3 sports if we were going to play football.
Mhm.
So I played football and basketball always. I didn't like track. I could not get into running around in a circle, and I couldn't jump. So that kind of took that out of the equation. So I ended up playing a couple years of tennis, and I played a couple years of golf.
Nice.
And so I really enjoyed that and the team aspect of things. I think that understanding how to function as a team, as a group with leadership at different levels is very important in a development of a young person.
I like it. So, what does Mr. Odell do for fun when he's not in school?
Whatever my wife says we're going to do.
Good answer.
Yep.
No, we are big outdoors people. And so I really love to snowshoe and to hike out in the snow, even on the pack trails. Got into cross-country skiing a little bit last year. Going to try a lot of that more. Picked up a couple snow machines. I grew up snow machining, so I would like to get out and just be and enjoy. People always say, what do you do in the winter in Alaska? It's dark, it's cold. I said, you learn to play in the dark and the cold. So
Yes.
that's what I love to do. And then when summer rolls around, hiking and camping and backpacking and just outdoor stuff. I think, like many of us who live here, if you don't like that, you can't live here.
I'd have to agree to that.
Yes. When you were in school, what class did you find the most enjoyable?
Again, I was a history major, and so history was always something interesting to me. But that Polynesian warfare class that I took was the most impactful. I got to go to um, the museum in the University of Hawaii and some of the other museums there, and we got to go behind the scenes and see some of the stuff that had never been put out, that was hundreds of years old, that
Mm.
the different cultures had used as weapons. And
Oh,
that was really neat, and just to see all that development through the years. That was a very interesting class.
That sounds like an awesome experience for sure, especially getting behind the scenes at those awesome museums and such.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
With whom did you have your most meaningful relationship during your years as a student? And this doesn't have to be, a teacher. It could be a custodian. It could be anybody in the building. Anybody.
My football coach, his name was Ivor Hoagland, and he believed that everyone in our school was on the same level and the same plane.
Mm.
And we were required as football players to give a hug, and I say that with air quotes, to anyone who said, "Good game, good job," which meant we had to give them a handshake, a pat on the back, some sort of physical contact to thank them because they were our fans and they weren't playing football and we were important to that school. And so in doing that, we opened ourselves up to building a lot more relationships with people we might not have. And I will remember, and I'll never forget, we had the football table. The football team all sat at the same table at lunch. And we
Yeah.
had a young man in our school who had some developmental delays, and he was incredibly poor. And we would invite him to come and sit at our table every day so that he could be part of a group. And had our football coach not instilled some of that understanding of everybody is on an equal plane, even though we're different,
yep.
I don't think we would have done that. And I don't think we would have grown as much. It gave us more growth than it did that young man. It made him feel good, but we learned a bunch from it. And I'll never
Mm.
forget how he instilled those values in us without putting them upon us. And so he was a great teacher and a great leader and a great man.
Yeah.
Nice. What's something you've learned about yourself since you started working with kids as a teacher?
That my patience is the key to my success.
Yes.
And obviously, in my job, it takes a lot of patience.
Yes.
Um, and so sometimes I consciously have to remind myself that if I am just patient and calm and relax and slow down, that I will have more success than if I try and push through what the expectation might be at the exact moment. And so stepping back and being patient and mindfulness.
Those are definitely strong skills for your position, and really, any teaching position, really, I would say. So, yes. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your younger self entering high school for the first time, or your second high school, either one, however that works,
Yeah.
or leaving high school for your post secondary work?
Um, I I have a big poster in my room that's it's a growth mindset, and it's mindfulness and that whole concept of being open and aware and mindful of your moment. And I think taking that second to process where you're at exactly rather than what's next is something that I would tell anybody to take that step back and be aware. I think sometimes you move so fast, you miss things in your
Yep.
experiences. You don't look back. I can think back to going to state in basketball in Washington, and I can remember things by looking at the pictures more than I can just remembering them because I wasn't in the moment at the time, because I let the moment take over. And being impactful of the moment is really important. It's just being aware of being where you're at.
Good. Good advice. What's one of the most memorable moments you've had with your students, and why was that moment special?
Okay, well, it was a long moment that took 2 years. I started the behavior program at a school in Colorado. They had never had one before. They didn't have a curriculum. They didn't have any design for it, and I had 12 kids. And one of the things I started out in my first semester was I thought, well, let's see if we can play a game and have competition and learn how to interact appropriately. So we got out Uno, and in our first day playing Uno, after we all read the rules and agreed to the rules, we played for about 15 minutes, and a desk was flipped and a punch was thrown.
Oh, wow, that's
And
an Uno game.
that was an Uno game, and contact Uno, and we worked on that, and we worked through that, and over the course of 2 years, we ended up getting to play Battleship and Scrabble and Monopoly and on till before I left, we were playing Dungeons and Dragons in
Ooh.
teams where they had to share their powers and agree on things. And a dungeon master could change everything up in a second. And it was just fully interactive. And I was like, all right, I've got it. And then those kids who I had, multiple of them were seniors that year and graduated. And people said, these kids will never graduate. They'll never get through school without getting kicked out and having to go to an alternative school. None of them did. They all graduated,
Nice.
and it was awesome.
That's a great story there. I like that one for sure. All right, so kind of a little bit on that same. What's the most embarrassing thing that you ever had happen to you in front of your students? Now, it could be in class or in your coaching world, as you know.
I I I asked some of the students that were in my room today. I had a bunch of them in here, and I said, what do you think that would be the most embarrassing thing?" And one of them said, "Every time you walk in the room." I said,
Okay.
"That's not that kid has attention." No, I was a new teacher, and I at a high school. I'd been at an elementary school for 2 years, where you don't have bells and that kind of stuff. And I moved to this high school, and they had a schedule about as crazy as ours. And I was there. It was my second week, and I misread the schedule, and I let all my behavior kids out of class. Said, go to lunch. I didn't hear the bell, and it was 25 minutes early, and I had 12 behavior students roaming the halls.
Oh no.
And my principal called me and said, "Mr. Odell, why are your students out in the hall?" I said, "Well, it's lunch." He said, "No, lunch isn't for another 15 minutes." So that was a little bit, and they all thought that was hilarious. So then they always wanted to know if they go to lunch early.
Oh
yeah. Nice. So May 23rd, 2025 is our last teacher day. What's your plan after that?
As soon as my feet hit the pavement, I will probably be heading straight to some body of water.
Oh, nice.
Be on a raft, a paddleboard, a kayak, something, depending on what's thawed and what's warm. My wife and I love rafting and paddleboarding and kayaking and portaging, so I'm sure we'll have something planned to go that day.
Nice.
Awesome. What you were talking about earlier about stopping and thinking reminded me of that Ferris Bueller quote about life moving pretty fast. You ever seen that movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it's they talk about life moving fast and stopping and looking around, or you might miss it. It's kind of the
when they're chilling in that big house that they drive the car off the
yep. Rolling the odometer backwards.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Exactly. All right. Hey, well, that's all the main questions we have. So one last question we ask everybody is, do you have anything else you want to add?
I just want to thank the Sioux Valley community. They have been absolutely wonderful to myself, my family. My daughter's going to school here, and that's just been a great transition. Everybody in the Talkeetna community has been wonderful. My wife has met many people that have just invited her to go out and do things with them, and go. She's been snowshoeing and hiking, and it's just great to be home.
It's awesome. Definitely good. Definitely welcoming community and such. So, all right. Well, that's going to conclude this special edition that we have. Once again, this is your principal, Mr. Kirby, and I got Jimmy Sickler as my co-host again.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And I want to also thank our special guest, Mr. Odell.
Thank you very much. It was great to be here.
All right. And once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast as another way to connect to our Sioux Valley community. And I hope to see you at the next school event or around the community. Thanks for listening.